Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Doc is In. This episode is one that's pretty special to me because it's going to be discussing religion and mental health. For many of you who may know already, I grew up in a very small town. Everyone was either Baptist or Catholic. For the most part, you didn't have many other denominations being represented aside from maybe something like Full Gospel or AME or just flat out Methodist. I think that I've seen kind of both sides of this argument. There's one argument that says basically that religion is a hindrance to mental health work and illness. But then on another hand, I can see how religion really aids in mental health. So according to some studies, most studies would agree with me that, religion tends to enhance mental health recovery. Because you're so rooted in your belief, you have the belief that it'll get better. So, your body's working to make that happen. However, when we talk about things like, religiosity and levels of faith, sometimes that can really conflict with, mental health practices. As I mentioned in a previous video, growing up, especially in a lot of smaller towns, the thought is, oh, well, you don't need to see a psychiatrist about that. You don't want to be known as going crazy or any of that stuff. You just need to pray about it. If your faith was stronger, you could, be fine now. But what I'm finding is that when you have a lot of that type of mentality, it not only discourages people from seeking out the mental health support that they need, it often makes them feel even worse and guiltier because they're feeling like, why isn't my faith strong enough? God's forgotten me. God's, not hearing me, or God's punishing me. And those types of beliefs, when they really are rooted within you, can really eat you alive from the inside out. As you may have read in my blurb, I did focus quite a bit on LGBTQ plus populations when I was training initially. And that was one of the things that I saw so frequently. I had people who were depressed, anxious, dealing with so many different disorders because all their lives, who they believed that they were was in direct opposition to who they were being preached, what was being preached to them. So, it amazes me how often we see these scandals with these ministers who are the main people who are like on a rail against one thing or another, and then you find out that they've been doing it themselves. But they tend to either gloss over it or feel like they're immune from judgment because they are ministers. And ultimately, nobody's immune from judgment. Nobody's immune from having to do the right thing. Okay? In a larger part of studies, as I mentioned, it does speak to the fact that religion can be a huge part of mental health recovery. For people in substance use, a lot of times AA is the way to go because it does infuse their religion with what they're dealing with in that moment. So they're being told, to pray, but they're also being given some tangible things to do as well. The thing about it is this, and I will argue any theologian to the end. If we are to have a recovery from an illness, there's a part that we must play. I'm not trying to get biblical, but in the Bible, almost every big miracle that you saw someone play a part in their miracle manifesting for them. Whether it's, the man at the pool, he had to, the question was, do you want to be well? There was an answer that was required on his part. The blind man, when he, went to Jesus and said he was blind, and Jesus had things to do for him. Jesus put dirt on his eyes and then, spat in his eye, told him to wash it off in the pool of Siloam, and I may be messing this up a little bit, so forgive me. But, come on, I went to Bible school though, don't sleep on me. So, there was always a part that person played in their deliverance, and I feel the same is true for us. I believe, as a person of faith, I believe that miracles still happen. I really do. But I feel that people have to play a part in the reception of that miracle. If I sit here all day and I'm like, oh God, please send me a job, and I'm not filling out applications, I'm not looking for a job, I'm not doing anything that will bring a job to me, why should I believe that something's going to happen if I won't even do my part in it? So what I'm saying is, I believe that people can be cured, if you will, of their depression. I believe that people can be cured of anxiety. But I also believe that you have a part to play. You have a part to play in seeking out the help that's there. Because I believe that, therapists and psychiatrists, they weren't put here just to have someone else say, oh no, you don't need them, you should be able to just pray them away. They were put here to help you, you know? Mental health and religion should not ever really be at odds. I know personally, I feel better when I pray in the morning because I feel like I'm centered. I feel covered. For me, my faith goes hand in hand with my mental health. I will pray about a problem, but I'm also going to take actions to get my problem under control and get it solved. Um, I would encourage, I encourage all pastors, if there are any pastors listening to this, if you are not a school trained pastor, okay? Because there are some, there are a lot of pastors. I'm very blessed that I worship under Dr. Ralph Douglas West. He is a well-trained theologian, and he does a great job of understanding that mental health issues are real. The devil is a liar, but this chemical imbalance that you have, that's the truth. Okay? And there are medicines to help you with that. One of the things that I really feel a sense of urgency to express is, don't let people guilt you or shame you out of taking medication that you need. Now, if you are, I'm not talking about painkillers, you hooked on painkillers type stuff. No, I'm talking about if you have major depression, or if you have crippling anxiety, or you have these issues that someone has prescribed you medication because of it, take your medications the way you should. Don't, go to church and let them heal you, and they pushing you in your forehead, knocking you on the ground, and taking your pills and throwing them in the trash. No, 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 no. That's a, I don't even know what to call it. That's a sideshow. Please do what you know is right. Do what you know to do, in the sense of, I have a real illness and I need medication. If you were diabetic, would you let your reverend throw your insulin in the trash? Hopefully not. These are things that are important. Your mental health is truly one of the most important things in your life. Like, the Bible says, I would that you would be in health, that you would prosper as your soul prospers. Like, how are you going to prosper if you're suffering with crippling anxiety and you had medicine given to you, but you threw it out because you were like, oh no, I know what prayer can do. We all know what prayer can do. But there's also medication that you put in conjunction with the prayer, and it all works together. Your religion should be a part of your mental health care. Your religion should be, if and I'll say this in a heartbeat, if I've had patients who had religious issues, I would happily call in a chaplain, a priest, a reverend, a bishop, whatever, and I will sit there and pray alongside that reverend and help if I can, because my goal is to help you be whole, okay? And I feel like all of it comes together. A healthy mind can do a lot, for the kingdom of God. I mean, I don't want a pastor who is dealing with a million, mental health issues that are unchecked. I don't want that. I don't want to be under that kind of leader. And I don't want to be that kind of reflection of what a Christian or whatever your religion of choice is. I don't want to be that reflection of that chosen religion. I mean, our goal is to bring people in, not push people away. Okay. So I hope that was informative. I hope that it was helpful to you. Again, I'm a fan of, please, when you have religious inquiries, feel free to take them to your pastor, your priest, your bishop, your imam, your rabbi, whatever it may be. Bring those issues to them, but always make sure that they're qualified in some way, shape, or form to answer the questions that you're asking. And if need be, ask them for a referral to, someone that they trust, a Christian counselor, or a counselor that specializes in a particular, religious faith and belief. Your religion should be a part of your mental health care. It should not detract from it. Love yourself, love someone else. We'll all be better for it.